Welcome back to the program. Kerry, farmers think of forestry and they automatically think of just a bit of a stand of trees. Is that forestry, or is that sort of tree farms?
Well, that's just sort of your traditional image of forestry, but actually the Act goes a bit further than just your standard pine trees. The 2004 Act says standing timber has been defined as standing timber as if they were mature trees. So it sort of talks in a bit of a roundabout way. So it actually, in effect, captures every tree on a property. Even
shelter belts?
Yep, shelter belts are part of your forestry. You wouldn't think they are. Yeah, they've been put there to protect your stock or crops or whatever, but under the Act, they are a forestry type tree.
Now, I know we've got all the Kyoto thing, and I'm not going to start going into that sort of side of it, but what about taxability of things if you plant a tree? Is there any advantage in that you can gain?
There's a lot of rules around planting of trees, and you also got to look at how you plant them and things like that. If you're establishing a shelter belt or you put in trees for erosion control, things like that, they're automatically straight away deductible. Mm-hmm. But if you're just planting some trees, a block of trees somewhere, or you just want to sort of, protect the homestead a little bit, up the image or something like that, you've got a limit on what you can spend in one go, and that's $7,500. So if you spend more than $7,500, you've actually got to capitalise it and, in effect, depreciate those trees over the lifetime. If they're under $7,500, you can write them off straight away. So what you need to do is, if you're going to spend more, sort of $10,000 on trees, you want to break it up into two different lots with a bit of timing in between, just to
and make actually it sort of say that it's not just decorative because you love to have trees around.
Exactly, yeah. You want to make sure that you're planting them for a specific reason. So if you can say that they're for shelter belts, then straight away you can write them off. Doesn't matter whether you spend $10,000 or $5,000.
Ongoing costs. Is there any sort of tax benefit in that?
Once again, it's sort of got that cap on it. If you sort of go with that $7,500 in terms of maintaining your forestry block, then you're supposed to capitalise it. So you want to sort of spread out your expenses over time and just try and make sure they're fully deductible. So if you keep under that cap, you're fine.
This really needs to be written down somewhere for most farmers, doesn't it? Because,
yeah,
otherwise it's just got to be over a year or a period of time, whatever. It's going to be suddenly, hey, listen, I'm over my cap and we've got a problem.
Yeah, it's sort of per time, so it's not like $7,500 for the full year. So, and we find a lot of farmers walk into the track where they sort of think, OK, well, I'm going to plant a block of trees over here, and they put $10,000 up, and then they, at the end of the year, say, oh, I'll put those up, there's a nice tax saving. You say, no, sorry, you've missed out. So you've got to be.
Then you become the bad egg.
We do, unfortunately, and that's just the way the Act's sort of been designed. So you've got to sort of be talking to your accountant about what you're going to do with your trees to make sure you don't get caught unexpectedly.
Exactly. Kerry, farm succession, I know that would take 3 hours for you to even start scratching the surface, but do trees and forestry come underneath that in any way at all?
Yeah, if you sell your farm off to another entity, trust or company or something like that to plan for the future, your trees are going to become taxable income. Now, depending on the age of them, the type of trees and the value that's assigned to them, it could be a large tax bill, and it's all going to be done in one hit. So you've got to plan ahead and just sort of see if you can get a valuation that is fair. Try and make sure they're all sort of not full standing timber when you do the transfer.
Once again, there's valuation. Excuse me, I guess that's a registered valuation by somebody who knows what values are?
Yeah, definitely, it has to be. You can't just go and sort of get your neighbour to put a value on it or the accountant to assume a value, because the IRD can come in and challenge that later. So it's important to get that registered valuation.
How long does that last for? Because trees keep growing.
The valuation's got to be sort of within a very short time period of the actual transfer.
Yes, so I
so
thought you were saying.
Within sort of 2-3 months of that transfer. You can't sort of do the transfer and say, OK, I got a valuation done 12 months ago, because obviously values move quite rapidly.
Tell me about forestry rights and how that works.
They're a good mechanism for shifting around income from trees. If you've got a block of trees that sort of...
Let's come back one and ask what it is. What is a forestry right?
In effect, what it means is that you're transferring the right to that forest for cutting it down and taking the income.
Oh, OK.
So you could have a company owning the farm and you've assigned the rights to a trust. So when it chops the trees down, it gets all the income, rather than the company who actually has the land that the trees are on.
Thank you. OK. So now what do we do as far as the mechanism is concerned?
It's got to be looked at timing carefully again, because the moment you sell your forestry right, you actually create more taxable income. And if you time that wrong, you're going to have a large bill or more problems. So the earlier on you can transfer the right, if you think you're going to have a good block of trees, the better it is.
Every time either you or Neville come in, we decide that the word is to work very closely with your chartered accountant.
Yeah, you should be, just to make sure that you're not exposing yourself to any unnecessary bills. There's a lot of things to plan for in farming, that's for sure.
Kerry, thank you very much indeed.